Hi, my name is Nick from Elite Outdoor Fitness. This is a video blog on strength and conditioning. It's in line with a number of other videos that I've got, and they kind of work together really because it's quite a complex subject and it's really important that you get it right, because day one, kind of essentially determines where you're at after a year. So if you get it wrong in the first day, first week, first month, it's going to have a compounding effect. If you're doing one rep kind of wrong, that's going to counteract all the other muscle groups that you're training, your body composition, your kind of form, your mobility. It kind of affects everything. That said, you go to a gym, you see these gym monkeys and all that lot, and they kind of go form. Yes, it's very important, but at the same time, you don't see perfect runners, and some of them are international. It's because it works for them and it fits for them, and if you start changing too much up, it's going to affect them a lot because their body is used to doing something a certain way. And so, although you should always try and get perfect form, and certainly watch lots of videos as well, in and out of Elite Outdoor Fitness, to make sure you're engaged in an exercise with perfect form, but you need to be making sure that you're looking at somebody that's got perfect form. For example, Rob from Elite Outdoor Fitness, who runs the RTG Cross Fitness Group, it will give you a good idea of what the form is supposed to be doing, because a lot of people at the beginning of their strength training journey probably can't get the form correct because they've never done the bloody exercise before. And their mobility and their kind of body composition, and it might be that they've got a bit of extra weight or whatever, it might be that they're performing the rep as best that they can. And that's all that we ask really, and so that when you actually move forward and you get stronger, your capability increases and you can carry the forms correctly. What do I do? We've obviously seen the videos of me push, press, pull, squat. That's essentially what I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Very, very light. The first 4 weeks, or 3 weeks to 4 weeks, are kind of a warm-up, and I'm literally only doing maybe a shoulder press, a kind of a press up or a bench press type exercise, a pull, and a squat down. And as from there, I kind of, after about the first month, I then engage in like a Monday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, Friday. Half body, day on, half body, day on, day off, half body, day on, half body, day on, day off at the weekend. That facilitates my other kind of training sessions that I do with my running and my fell running and bits and bobs, and it just allows me those extra couple of days to kind of facilitate that extra recovery that I need, because I'm doing other demanding stuff. Day on, day on, day off, day on, day on, day off works perfect for you kind of optimizing recovery when you're doing strength conditioning. Normal muscle, if it's kind of optimally trained, for example, on a chest, for example, you do on the Monday, you're not training on the Tuesday because you're doing the other half of your body, you're not training on the Wednesday because you're day off, you train again on the Thursday. And that's at 72 hours plus when you're taking into consideration an extra day off over the weekend. So that's kind of optimal training and recovery at the same time. Things to note are, if you can train at that level for whatever you're doing, some of you might be quite advanced in training, you've got to drop it right back down. If you can do 100% on the training you're doing, number 100, you might be hitting about 55-60% of that, because you have to allow for recovery and blood and all the extra nutrients that you kind of need, and the proteins, etc., to make sure that you're running and your LSDs and your speed work and your hill reps and all that lot are kind of, you're giving a bit of recovery factor into that as well. So if you're going in and smashing the gym, you can find certainly after about 3 or 4 weeks you start losing momentum, you start losing motivation. So you've got to be aware of that. How do I progress forward, and when do I know to progress forward? I'm at the start of my journey now. I've had about 1.5 years off with COVID, with moving out, living in a caravan, no gyms, and also I did a couple of those world records last year and beginning of this year. So I've been going in strength training. I just couldn't do it when I was doing those records because it was just 125 pound runs were like exhausted, and I couldn't be in the gym doing those, and it wasn't any point at that point. So really for the last good 1.5 years, even maybe a little bit more, no strength and conditioning kind of work. So I'm day 1, week 1. And although I've kind of bounded up in this last 3 or 4 weeks to being quite relatively strong again, I'm holding my body back because my ligaments, my tendons, and my mobility, my shoulders, etc., is a lot less than it used to be. I'm 155 kilograms bench press all day long. Normally, I bounded right back down to the bar, for example, and I don't progress up and add 2.5 each side until I can do at least like 8 to 10 sets of 25 reps. And so I started with 12s and 15s and 20s, and I even start on 12s every single day with a reduced weight. Sometimes I'm only on 12.5 kilograms each side at the moment, and I'm banging out between 20 and 30 reps of those. But I'm doing probably about 12 sets. And then I'm back to back that in with a number of different exercises. For example, I normally do chest with triceps and also back, so opposite and opposing muscle groups. Set the bench, back, bench, back, bench, back, if you get what I mean. But initially, I kind of only kind of warm through with the 12, or as I'm starting to progress on 12 reps, and I build it up to 15 reps, I'm doing 20 reps and 25 reps, and then I know it's about time when I'm getting to there, because I'm going into the muscle endurance range, that I can then maybe add 2.5s on. And then I'll go through it again for a week or two, a week, maybe even week and a half, bang another 2.5 on, then I bang a 5 on, and I bang an extra 2.5 to make it 7.5 kilograms, and then 10 kilograms, and so on. And even then, when I get to where I want to be, because you'll have a bit of a cap and you'll have a bit of a plateau, I then kind of, which normally for me is maybe about 1.5 plates going up to 2 plates, I'm then only kind of, so 2, 4, 6, 8, maybe 100 kilograms, 90 to 100 kilograms, I'm making sure that I'm pretty much doing like 20 reps of those all day long. And then every so often, I might put every so often, literally probably once a week for maybe 2 or 3 sets at the most, I just bang a little bit of weight on and do that extra kind of power session of like 4 to 8 reps, but that's about it. So I'm doing 95 to 98% muscular endurance and strength, and then bounding into the power. So I've got the power, I've got that 1 rep power, and I can kind of pull it out of the bag if needed, but generally overall, I'm pretty good, like between 12 and say 30 reps. So the Monday and Tuesday is broken down into half body, and the Thursday and Friday is broken down to half body, but half body. What I tend to do, because I've got a little bit of extra recovery period over the weekend, and I've got some demanding LSDs and felt runs to do as well, I end up putting a hefty session on them. And so I normally kind of build my muscular endurance on those sessions, so it's a little bit faster paced. And I move forward from my first month into my second, and into the third month, I'm normally pretty kind of capable at doing the compound movements, and then I can start going into the more specific movements, okay? So if I'm looking at chest, I'm normally hitting the top, I'm hitting the outside, I'm hitting the underneath of the chest. If I'm looking at like biceps, I'm kind of looking at all areas of the biceps and the triceps. I'm hitting at the core and the abdominals and the lower back quite a bit more with kind of twists and things like that, and engaged in kind of emergent sessions like thrusters and maybe some deadlifting. And I'll also start to include things like versus sets as well in those more anaerobic type sessions, which is like deadlifting versus sprints and thrusters versus jump squats with weight and things like that. And it just allows me the Saturday and Sunday to fully recover from those. But what it's also doing is I'm breaking the week into 2. So my half body on the Thursday and Friday, I'm more kind of dominated with 15 to 100 reps almost, with good weight on as well. And the Monday and Tuesday, I'm taking a little bit slower. I'm still doing my antagonistic type training of maybe some opposing muscle groups to get that blood circulation, but I'm having a bit more recovery, and I'm concentrating on reps between about 12 and 20, maybe 25. Just to make sure I can kind of taking a little bit more extra time for recovery, but at the same time I'm starting to increase my strength. And as you increase your strength on those sessions, it means you can kind of do more weight for more reps, but capable and competent of doing those on the Thursdays and the Fridays. But it's all about progression. It's making sure that you progress correctly. It's really difficult kind of remotely to make sure people are doing the correct forms. So you need to look at that as best you can. And it's also very difficult to tell somebody when we're all completely different and we progress differently, just as we do with running and cycling on weights, dependent on like your how naturally strong you are, your body composition and your previous training, on how quickly you should progress. But I think generally, if you progress in the way that I've just said, so that you wait until you're capable of doing multiple sets of say 20 to 25 reps before you add that extra weight, and then you may bound down to like 12 and 15 again and build it back up again, I don't think you'll be too far wrong. When you're training muscle groups, if you do it progressively, you'll get so much more out of it. You'll lose weight slower, but you'll get really lean, and that weight will stay off as well. Make sure you're eating correctly. Make sure you've got a balanced diet. Make sure if you're trying to get rid of your gut like we all are, you're not drinking too much. You're not giving yourself a fatty liver where you're holding on to that extra kind of fat around your stomach, because that's a classic, especially in COVID times. So just make sure that you've got more balance around your day and your week, and make sure you get these sessions in. They can be really kind of demanding, only because you might have gone out for your run in the morning or whatever. I make sure I'm very specific in the times that I come. I have like a coffee or whatever before, go on the running machine for like 5 or 10 minutes to make sure I'm ready. Hope this helps, and yeah, thanks for listening.